Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk, the search is on for a new Indiana University men's basketball coach. The university fired Coach Tom Crean after leading the team for 9 years.
I don't think we can overstate what a big deal this hire is.
Residents in West Central Indiana pay some of the highest electricity rates in the Midwest.
I just got tired of everybody saying every time the wind blew or a bird landed on the line and they were out of power. And so we basically started collecting more revenue.
Coming up, an investigation into rural electric co-ops. And we'll show you how a cooling device in some hospitals is helping grieving families.
Being able to have that extra time with them before they're taken from our arms forever, it's extremely important.
Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. About 1.5 million Hoosiers get their power through REMCs. These electric cooperatives were created in the 1930s with assistance from the federal government to bring more affordable electricity to rural areas. Now, every ratepayer is a cooperative owner with a voice about REMC policies. In rural West Central Indiana, the message is loud. These co-ops that started as a good thing have gotten out of control. Rates are too high and the company needs to find ways to cut costs and be more efficient. Sarah Whitmire reports.
Jimmy Shields owns the hardware store in Linton. He has for years. Prior to him, it was his dad's business. If you want to know what's going on in town, this would be a good place to start.
As you say, the coffee shop talk.
The buzz for the last year or so has been all about what people are paying for their electricity.
People complaining about it, customers coming in. They were trying to make changes to conserve electricity, and that kind of brought it all to our attention as, well, what's going on here?
The Utilities District of Western Indiana serves the central and western part of the state, including large swaths of Greene, Monroe, Lawrence, Owen, and Clay counties, about 19,000 customers. It's one of 18 electric co-ops that buys its power from Hoosier Energy. But what residents realized was their co-op was charging a lot more to deliver that power to their homes.
So when we started looking, we realized that they had one of the highest rates.
Data obtained from the U.S. Energy Information Association shows residents here pay 16.38 cents per kilowatt hour. That's the highest of the co-ops that get their energy from Hoosier Energy. It's the highest in the state, and it's among the top 10 in the Midwest. It means the average UDWI customer might see a monthly bill for $160. The same customer, but on Duke Energy, will get a monthly bill for about $114.
Can you just help explain to me the different components that go into a rate?
Well, you have your energy cost, you have your fixed costs, you have transmission costs, you have tracker cost, you have basically time of day cost because it is quite a bit higher at certain times of the day.
Brian Sparks is the CEO of the co-op. He's held that position for about a decade, but he's been with UDWI for 33 years. He works with the board of directors to set the rate. That's different than municipal or public utilities that have to get state approval before upping their rates. Electric co-ops aren't held accountable by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. The idea is they're held accountable by the members. Each ratepayer is a member of the co-op and votes to elect board members who then hire the CEO and approve the CEO's decisions. If a member's unhappy with the direction the co-op is going, they can vote for someone else to represent their interests on the board.
We didn't know that we were the highest in the state. We know that our rate is high, right? So that's a known, and we're not. Nobody is trying to say that we didn't know that. We knew that.
I guess you said you knew that you were probably among the highest. Were you surprised that you were the highest?
I was surprised that we were the highest, as far as that goes.
That's probably my fault. I'm not going to lay that on the board. I just got tired of everybody saying every time the wind blew or a bird landed on the line and they were out of power. And so we basically started collecting more revenue because that's the only way you can get it. You either get it from customers or you get it from borrowing. And we've increased our reliability 83% in the last 5 years.
Were they complaining about their rates, about how much they were paying though?
No, not the ones that was coming up and talking to me. They was just appreciative that their lights were staying on during storms.
Tax returns from the co-op show they've increased spending over the last several years on tree clearing and brush removal. It's gone up from $720,000 in 2012 to $2,035,000 in 2015. Sparks says they've also used the extra revenue to perform breaker maintenance and pole tests.
We started doing the things that we should have been doing all along.
Just 53% of what UDWI customers pay goes towards the actual purchase of energy. That's the lowest of any of the REMCs under Hoosier Energy. The district just to the east of UDWI, for example, spends 15% more of what it collects in a customer's rate for the actual purchase of energy.
Okay, so then the other
is going to make the improvements and everything necessary to keep the cooperative running. I think our margin's like 7%.
What margin is 7%?
We work for to have enough money to do stuff, and then whatever margin we have at the end of the year, we eventually will give that back to the customer.
The co-ops are not-for-profits, so according to the group's own bylaws, revenue over the cost of expenses is supposed to be returned to the ratepayers. The co-op formed in 1937, and the refunds are something the co-op just started doing within the last 5 years. But they're just now paying for 1959 and 1960.
So some of those people might be dead.
Some of them are, but their heirs can get it.
The group's 2015 tax returns show that out of over $49 million in revenues for the year, it's allocated $5.6 million of excess earnings for return to its members. Sparks says that it will all eventually be paid back to the members.
All $5 million eventually, so.
Yeah, we're not for profit, so whatever we have, eventually we return.
Everything.
But it may be 20 years down the road too. So
the numbers, when you get them in front of you, tell you that you should be cutting costs.
Todd Carpenter and his wife sold their Bloomington home last year and moved to Salisbury.
When I moved, I immediately started figuring out the rate per kilowatts over 25% more, which I expected it to be more. I mean, rule's always going to cost more just because of the distance. But and then after holidays, you talk to your family members, and I start hearing some of the bills that they're paying, and I'm just kind of flabbergasted.
Carpenter owns an accounting firm, so naturally he started doing research and running different numbers.
And when I've looked at the few records that I have, it's my opinion that we could save money.
So Carpenter gathered the 50 signatures he needed, and he's challenging board president Jim Weimer in the upcoming election. It's one of only a couple times in Weimer's 27 years on the board that he's had a challenger. Carpenter says one of the first things he'll do if he wins election is to increase transparency, open up the books, show people where the money's going, and find ways to curb spending. He says he'd start with his own board member compensation. Tax returns show the UDWI board is among the highest paid under Hoosier Energy. In 2015, Jim Weimer received just shy of $33,000.
I mean, do you think the board compensation is fair? As just somebody who's been on the board for a really long time, and
I do, yeah. And my hesitation in answering that does not mean am I weighing whether it's too little or too much. Yes, I think it's quite fair.
The board sets its own salary based on what Weimer says is going on around the state and what's reasonable. The UDWI board also receives insurance benefits, so that increases the compensation rate. If you've picked up the local paper recently, maybe you noticed this headline, "Tightening the Belt." It's an advertisement for the co-op. A July 2016 study from the group, the Indiana Electric Cooperatives, looked at rates of co-ops across the state and identified UDWI as the highest.
I mean, did you know it was that high until before you got the IEC, before you saw the IEC numbers?
No, we knew. We don't check rates with other co-ops.
The ad says after reading the study, the co-op started looking for ways to reduce customers' bills, including reviewing board salaries. But most of the savings came from cutting what's called the variable tracker rate. The tracker is used to cover unforeseen expenses that aren't common enough to be included in the fixed rate you pay for energy. Things such as a tornado or a really hot July with a couple of weeks of triple-digit temperatures. The tracker charge usually fluctuates each month, but Spark says he's guaranteeing customers it'll be zeroed out this year, which will result in an annual savings of $1.38 million.
But if there's a bad storm or something, then
Yeah,
you won't have that cushion from the tracker, am I understanding?
Won't. This year, we're going to just eat whatever that doesn't cover our current tracker. We're just going to eat it, which will in turn reduce the rates even more.
Spark says these savings mean the UDWI co-op is no longer the highest in the state, but we've not been able to confirm that. And the tracker rate is separate on your bill from the fixed rate. That rate is the most significant one, and it's staying the same. A billboard almost across the highway from the UDWI office in Bloomfield asks ratepayers to vote next month and vote for change.
We aren't proud of the fact that we are, have the highest rate in the state, and I wish I could say that that's going to change, but I think we're going to have a higher rate than many of the co-ops have. Not all, but that many of them do, simply because of the load factor, the nature of the communities in which we live.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Sarah Whitmire.
3 of the seats are contested. Every ratepayer in the Utilities District of Western Indiana is allowed to vote. Elections are held at the co-op's annual meeting on April 8th at the White River Valley High School. People can cast their votes in person between 10:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Indiana University Athletic Director Fred Glass cites inconsistencies as his reason for dismissing head basketball coach Tom Crean. Glass met with the press Thursday and says the national search begins immediately for Crean's replacement. IU Athletic Director Fred Glass says he made his decision to dismiss head coach Tom Crean Wednesday night and met with him Thursday morning. Glass says the decision to fire Crean was not a 1-year or 4-year decision, but a 9-year decision.
The extension wasn't something that I was prepared to do because even though we have had success, I just think both between and within seasons, it's just been too inconsistent for our expectations.
Crean will continue to be paid $4 million for the next 3 years. Unless he's hired for a comparable job, then the salary offsets. Glass will conduct a national search for a new coach, consulting with basketball experts and former IU players.
I don't think we can overstate what a big deal this hire is.
A couple athletic officials, along with trainer Tim Garl and assistant coach Derek Elston, will act as the transition team until a new coach is named. The players are on spring break and will meet Sunday night. And Mike Miller joins us from the Herald-Times, been covering IU basketball here. So I think we got a better idea of Glass's decision, but it took about 30 minutes into that press conference yesterday when he said he had 3 options: extend his contract, wait a year, or, as what happened, dismiss Crean. Do you think in the long run this is going to be better for IU and Crean himself.
I think so, certainly in the case of Tom Crean. You know, he'd been here 9 years, taken a lot of heat, and that heat had reached his family too. I mean, it's a tough situation when you're living in Bloomington, you're the IU basketball coach. It's a fishbowl, and it's really tough on a lot of people. I think he'd been through a lot of heat, and really that extension was not coming as far as that long-term security that he needs to continue recruiting, continue being a guy who's comfortable and firmly in place as Indiana's basketball coach. And particularly, too, when you look at Tom Crean and the way he recruits, he likes to get in early with, 8th grade prospects, high school freshmen, guys like that. So if he's only got 3 years, it's really hard to go out on the recruiting trail and actually promise that to those guys that he's going to be around 4 years from now.
Have you reached out to Crean or any of the players or heard anything?
I tried Tom Crean yesterday, but he's still, I think, kind of grieving the whole process of losing the job. But some former players have spoken out. Max Bielfeld talked to us last night, and he expressed a lot of gratitude because when he came to Indiana last year, prior to last season, he had been a bit of a role player at Michigan. I think when he got to Indiana, though, Tom Crean really tapped into some things. He became more of a shooter. He obviously became an instant impact team leader type guy. So he was really grateful for just the on-court leadership stuff that Tom Crean instilled in him, and also just the place he gave him in the locker room too.
So we just have a few seconds left, but of course the top 3 candidates that you're hearing about right now.
I think one guy you got to look at is Virginia's Tony Bennett. He has Midwest roots. His father was a coach a long time at Wisconsin. I think right down the road at Dayton, Archie Miller's had some nice success at the mid-major level. There's going to be a lot of names coming out both in college and in the NBA that we're going to be keeping track of in the next few weeks, I think.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. How many Hoosiers stand to lose their coverage under the House GOP healthcare plan? A look at the numbers coming up. And an Indiana organization is pushing to expand technology statewide that allows parents to spend more time with their stillborn children. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
I can change the world with my own 2 hands, make it a better place with my own 2 hands. I'm gonna make it a brighter place with my own 2 hands. I'm gonna help the human race with my own 2 hands. I can hold you in my own 2 hands, and I can comfort you with my own 2 hands, with my own 2 hands.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Data from the Centers for Disease Control shows about 1% of all babies in the U.S. are stillborn. As Barbara Brozier reports, an Indiana group is trying to raise money to place technology in hospitals that would give families more time to spend with their stillborn children.
This bear is what we call our Elena bear.
There are few possessions the Kreitzer family holds more dear.
And she weighs 5 pounds, just as much as Elena.
Than these mementos of the brief time spent with their daughter Elena.
This was a gift from my brother, and it matches her Coral and Aqua nursery.
Kyle and Maria Kreitzer never got to take their daughter home to that nursery. A little more than a year ago, Maria delivered her daughter at Reed Health in Richmond. Elena was stillborn.
Our pregnancy was uncomplicated. There were no warning signs. We had no idea.
Elena was the first baby born at Reed who used what's called a cuddle cot. A company based in the United Kingdom developed the technology. The unit uses a hose to cool a large pad that's placed in the bottom of a bassinet. It allows families to spend up to 48 hours with their baby.
It's just, so important. It gave us the opportunity to really meet her and hold her and examine her and feel her. We changed her outfit several times. She was held by many family members and friends, and that's absolutely something we can't ever get back, and we wouldn't, we will never replace those memories.
Brittany Irvine's son was also stillborn. She founded the Indiana Cuddle Cot campaign as a result.
I instinctively told my husband, I said, we're doing it. I mean, we have to create something. We have to help others.
Her goal is to get cuddle cots in every hospital in Indiana, but starting the conversation isn't always easy.
Nobody wants to talk about a dead child. Nobody wants to talk about early miscarriages. And it needs to be talked about.
Bereavement experts say it's important to talk about losses and give families different options for handling their grief.
Even though there is no steadfast rule that families can only have their children with them X number of hours, families feel rushed.
That's why families like the Kreitzers are working hard to raise money to place more cuddle cots throughout the state. They recently celebrated what would have been Elena's first birthday.
We had about 75 people in attendance, and in lieu of birthday gifts, we raised money for the Indiana Cuddle Cot campaign, and we're really excited to share that we actually raised over $700.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
Now, for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brozier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. A bill allowing legislative staffers to carry guns in the State House took a step further this week. The bill expands the list of those allowed to carry inside the state's Capitol building, as judges, police, and legislators are already able to do. It would allow full-time employees of the General Assembly to carry guns in the State House.
What we're trying to accomplish here, and hopefully we'll get it done, is to give these people the same ability to protect themselves to and from work. That's what this is about.
The bill has a separate provision allowing people to store guns in their vehicles outside penal facilities. The House committee will vote on the measure next week. A Senate committee advanced legislation this week that stops local governments from banning short-term rentals such as Airbnb. The bill also establishes guidelines for short-term rentals, including a ban on renting more than 30 days in a row and 180 days total in a year. Those who support the bill say an increasing number of people use short-term rentals, but opponents say local governments should be able to implement bans.
These people don't live here. They don't care about the special needs kids at the top of the street who, they speed in, they speed out. People like that just don't care about the fabric of our neighborhood.
The bill now heads to the Senate floor. A Senate committee slashed funding this week from a bill that sought to double the state's preschool pilot program. They cut the proposed increase for the On My Way pre-K program from $20 million to $6 million during the next 2 years. The committee also stripped out controversial language that linked the preschool pilot to the state's private school voucher program. Some conservative groups are pushing back on a roads plan that includes a number of tax and fee increases to pay for infrastructure improvements. Representative Ed Soliday's proposal includes a new $15 vehicle registration fee and a gas tax increase of at least 10 cents per gallon. It also allows the state to seek out federal authority to impose roadway tolling. A committee will vote on that bill next week. A coalition of groups is urging Indiana lawmakers to revive a bias crimes bill that died before getting a hearing in the state Senate.
We are seeing a rise in anti-Semitism both in Indiana and across the country like no time in our recent memory. In recent weeks, our Jewish Community Center here in Indianapolis has received 2 bomb threats, and a synagogue in Evansville had a bullet fired through its window.
The bill would have allowed judges to impose tougher sentences for crimes motivated by factors including race, religion, sexual orientation, or gender identity, but it faced opposition from conservative lawmakers and didn't move forward. If the House GOP health care plan passes, 500,000 Hoosiers could lose their insurance coverage. The increase of uninsured people would stem from 3 major factors: loss of subsidies to purchase insurance on the federal exchange, discontinuation of state Medicaid expansions, and the repeal of the individual mandate. Some of Republican Senator Todd Young's constituents protested last night. They're unhappy he has no plans to hold a town hall.
I think that he really needs to engage the public, the scientists, the academic professionals, and people who are going to be affected by the laws that are being proposed.
Protesters say they want to talk to Young about health care and immigration issues. Young's office did not respond to a request for comment. Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly is holding a town hall meeting this Sunday. Bartholomew County officials denied individual property tax appeals from a group of neighbors who live near a concentrated animal feeding operation, or CAFO. The residents living in the rural town of Hope want their property values and taxes reduced because they say the large hog farm negatively impacts their quality of life and will make their homes harder to sell. Residents can still appeal their individual cases to the state. And an innovative type of animal-assisted therapy is helping a small group of Hoosiers who struggle with addiction. For the past 7 weeks, 9 men have spent every Saturday working at Agape in Cicero. They're residents at an addiction recovery center in Indianapolis called Progress House, and this equine-assisted therapy aims to help them develop skills like patience, self-confidence, and assertiveness. Just goes to show that animals really can be therapeutic.
Yeah,
Joe.
the healing power of pets, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Barbara. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members, thank you.